you've done, between all your businesses collectively, a little over $200 million in revenue. You've done crypto, funding space. You said some credit stuff. You now buy luxury real estate here in San Diego, averaging, I think you said about $5 million a month in purchases, Section A rentals. Let's get into a little bit of that. Tell me about your transition from the affiliate space to everything you're doing now. Welcome to today's episode of Overcoming the Odds. I have a very special guest with us today, Manny Hernandez. I'm your host, Jordan Davis, and Manny's an incredible person. Not only has he overcome extreme adversity in life and creative massive amounts of success, but I want to share that story with you guys and the little bits and pieces along the way, because nowadays a lot of people see the glamorous things, the watches, the cars, the houses, the lifestyle, the traveling, etc., but they don't know what someone has gone through in order to accomplish that. So thanks for coming on today, Manny. I'm looking forward to sharing your successes with everyone, but really diving into the adversity that you went through, because most of the stuff you went through, bro, most people would not make it out alive.
Yeah, man. Build some heat and pressure builds diamonds, right?
I agree. I do want to get into the success. Why don't we start, though, when you were younger, your childhood? Tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up, some things that you went through, and then we'll kind of get into your adult life after that.
Yeah, childhood, interesting story. Matters if you want like the Cliff Notes version of it. So childhood started off, me, 3 brothers, so 4 boys, mom and a dad. Supposedly, that's what I thought.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Tell us about that.
That's what I thought, right? So my dad was a Navy SEAL, I'm pretty sure he got dishonorably discharged, Navy SEAL, schizophrenic, he was doing meth.
Okay.
Not a good formula for a calm family environment. Right?
Okay.
So you have, special forces father who's violent, erratic, on drugs, going in and out of prison, a lot of violence. So I got this scar across my forehead. Just a lot of messed up things. And he was in my life until I was like 8 years old. I would go to school. I'd go to elementary school like so beat up that teachers would call the police.
Wow.
So yeah, I've had child support services were called, over 150 times.
Wow.
And I found that out from a family, as I'll get into, kind of like once I was in high school, a family whose dad was in the CIA kind of before they let me move in with them, looked all that up and shared that with me. That's how much violence and chaos is going on. So around the time I'm 8 or 9, wow, it's been a long time since someone's asked me this. So I've told this story, man. Around the time I'm 8 or 9, my dad goes to prison. He goes to prison, and my biological mother comes to get me.
Weren't you living with her?
That's what I thought, right? So this woman, Dina, and her 3 sons, Nick, David, and Raymond, who were 3, 6, and 9 years older than me.
And those were your brothers,
right?
Growing up.
Those are my brothers. Like, that's how it was sold to me. So my dad goes to prison, and then my biological mother comes to get me. I'm like so scared and frightened. I'm like crying, hiding under the bed, And I look around, and I look at Dina, and I look at my other 3 brothers, and it was kind of like the gig was up. Like they all knew. So dad goes to jail. Biological mother comes to get me. World really gets shattered apart. I was told that I was already living with my mom and my brothers, and it turns out that was actually my aunt.
So you were living with your aunt, her 3 children, sons, and your dad, your biological dad.
My biological dad, right. And it turns out that my mother, as you grow up, right, you realize like what the situation really was. My mother was the youngest sister of 8, And Dina, my biological mother, Dina, who's the one who I was sold that, like, that's your mom and these are your brothers, was her eldest sister.
Okay.
So that means she literally took her baby sister's son and raised them as her own and didn't tell the child.
Wow.
Like,
And you didn't find this out until your father went to prison.
right. He went to prison, you know, this was like a more serious one he got caught with. He was always like in and out. And so there was nothing they could do about it. Like, as far as like leaving me with what I thought was my family.
Right.
So that ended with, I had really bad breakdown as a kid, ended up in like a psych ward, full blown.
As a child.
Like full blown.
Okay.
They put me into like a mental institution. I thought I was getting pulled away from everything I'd ever known.
And this was in New York, right?
This actually happened with them. We
California?
had already come back. I was already going back and forth. This was in San Diego.
Okay, so you'd already moved from New York to San Diego.
Yeah, I was already over here in San Diego. And so, yeah, I just thought I was getting ripped away from my family, which is super detrimental, right? And then I can't even really remember how I got out of this psych ward place. Like, I'm pretty positive that people's memories, your brain protects you. Like, a lot of the stuff you can't remember that's really traumatic, like, in order for you to live every day and not have some sort of breakdown, it blocks it out for you. But yeah, I can't remember how I got out of there. I do know that my dad ends up getting out of prison, and everyone is super scared. He's looking for me.
Okay.
Right? And I'm actually named after him. I'm a junior. So he's like,
Okay.
he called me Little Manny. So he was looking for me, and people didn't know where I was at. So this guy was, he's already not a stable person. So he was, cracking heads, trying to find out where I was. So I'm assuming he's the one who pulled me out of this psych ward place. And I actually got put in the psych ward because my biological mom was like, I was being erratic and violent myself. Yeah. She was trying to like discipline me, and I was, hurting people and things and locking myself in cars. And so just crazy, weird stuff. Just a young kid, acting out. So I do end up back. So there's a small stunt where biological mom's in my life, the psych ward place. Then my father gets me.
He ends up finding you.
Yeah, he ends up finding me. It ends up being me and him in an apartment.
Here in San Diego.
Yeah, in San Diego. Ends up just being us two. And, we'd bounce around here and there. And then, he would like give me money and leave. And I'm a kid. I'm in elementary school. I'm probably in like 3rd grade or something.
Okay, wow. So you're still pretty young at this
I'm still
point.
pretty young, and I'm just basically living on my own, skateboarding. I was into skateboarding big time. But I in my head, I thought I was like a grown man, dude. Like, I was hanging out all hours of the night. I was hanging out with people who are 18, 20 years old, and I'm in elementary school.
Okay.
So I put, packs of drugs and stuff underneath my elementary school table, and I'm pretty sure everyone knew who my dad was and what he's affiliated with, because no one would bother me,
They would just leave you alone because they didn't want to deal with the consequences of what could happen or how extreme your father was.
Right, exactly. Like, I have like one memory of like some adult, like, everyone's hanging out at this like table. It's nighttime, and I'm hanging out there, and then someone was just like, "Hey man, like, it's dark outside. Don't you have to like be home?" And the other people were just like chill.
Right, like the elephant in the room. Everyone.
Yeah, like
eyes got
that,
kinda
that dude didn't know, and everyone was like, "Yo, just chill out." Like, so there's for sure things going on that weren't supposed to. And then eventually, my dad would just give me money, leave, and then eventually he stopped showing up. So I just get abandoned in an apartment.
And you were how old?
Like 9 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like 9 years old, just on your own, dude.
And how long did it take you to realize, like, when your dad, he would come and go, when he didn't come back the last time, like, how long till you're sitting there realizing, like, oh, actually, I think he might not be coming back now?
That's a good question, man. I think so. There's a this kid I used to skate with named Aaron Miles. Shout out the Miles family.
Okay, shout out Aaron.
Aaron, his mom. I don't even know mom and dad's name. Mrs. and Mr. Miles. If you guys are out there, sending you guys, a bunch of love. So I would go over. I would skate over to Aaron's house and
Okay.
hang out a lot. And then my dad stopped showing up. Like basically, when he stopped giving me money and stuff, there's no food.
Right.
So early on, as kids, we're, Aaron would pretend he's like staying at my house, and we're goofing off all hours of the night, and he's enjoying all this freedom that he didn't have in like a regular structured
Right.
home, right?
His parents think that he's over at your house with your parents, but your parents aren't home.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's like, I'm going to Manny's today because,
Yeah.
didn't have any.
Eventually, our little gig is up. I'm over. I start. There's no food. There's no nothing. Oh, there's like no power, right? So there's no electricity on at this apartment, and so we're like, all right, there's nothing for us to do. And this apartment that we had too was like, dude, there's just inflatable beds. There's a TV on a crate.
Right.
I had like a boombox back when those were a thing.
Anyone watching this on TikTok, do you guys know what boom boxes are?
Google what a boombox is. You probably need to Google what a boombox is. And the TV was like a big, huge crate TV.
Did it have color?
I think it had color. It had color. It had color. It's probably like a Zenith or some company that's not even around anymore.
Right.
And so we ended up, to answer your question, so I kept going to Aaron's house, started staying over there a bunch. And his mom, I don't know if there's a moment where I'm like, man, he's not coming back, and it really like settled, because his mom was like, oh, where's Big Manny at? And I was just like, I don't know, because he had met them when he was around. Like he would drop me off and drop Aaron off, and so they had met him. And I was like, I don't know, like she was just like, what do you mean you don't know?
Right.
And
she kind of got the hint.
She was like, when's the last time
Right.
you've seen your father, right? And I was like, I don't know. I was like looking at Aaron trying not to get us in trouble, I don't know. And so her alarm bells go off, and she takes me in. So from there, I think that's like home number one. I'm trying to think about it. I think that's like home number one, just basically strangers' act of kindness. She takes me in. And just by this time we're in like 5th grade, and I'm living with them, but I would still like sneak out and try and go back to this apartment,
Right.
see if my dad's gonna show up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I don't think I'm like that small. I really didn't. I don't know. I think that's probably just like blocked out. I remember going, and she was like always really worried about that, because I would run and I just keep going and sitting there. Like eventually they rented this apartment out to someone else, and like some little kids over there
Right.
sitting on the stairs, super sad situation. Yeah, it's sad just even thinking about it. And so I ended up staying with them and Aaron and his family. And eventually, so like 6th grade comes along, and so here's the gig too. So like Dina gets involved with another guy and her kids from that. So I still, in my head, even till this day, I mean, maybe a little less now, but then I really felt like they were still my mom, my brothers. But once the lie was out, they switched up on me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like once I knew, and the lie was out, like I stopped getting treated like I was a part of their family.
Even though that was still your aunt and your cousins.
Right. Yeah, I felt a switch up there. She had gotten with a new guy who I'm not a fan of, and it was just a mess. And so then the Miles family the dad gets a job like out of state, and you can't take a kid that's not yours.
Right.
Like you can't cross like state
Yeah.
lines and like
Yeah.
enroll a kid in another thing. So that's where that really hit. That's where that really hit, And so the whole time for me, so this whole time though, like school for me was like a safe place. Like I love school. I did really well in school. Won a lot of awards. Was gate programs and all that.
Right.
Teachers along the way, even when my dad was around, were like hosting me and like letting me stay with them.
Right.
So
Shout out to all the teachers out
Yeah,
there.
shout out to all the teachers out there. Even now, it's like they probably gonna try and dye my hair pink and change my gender or something. Don't want to get into that, but it was a different time.
Yeah.
It's a different time. You didn't have to worry about that stupid stuff back then. You know, these teachers were like just so kind and
Yeah, I had some teachers like that growing up too, like, or even like sports coaches. Did you play sports?
yeah, I played football.
Okay. Yeah. My coaches too, they were like always there for me also. They can kind of sense, when some kids I think have a lot of potential and they just need a little bit of guidance.
Yeah,
I think it's a special skill set. A lot of teachers and coaches and individuals who work in youth specifically, I think they have that special skill set. Noticing that.
Yeah, they could spot it, right? Yeah, shout out to them, dude. Like a lot of good people. Yeah, because like I wasn't paying for the football either. Like that coach had seen me, and I think I was like fighting or something. I was like beating up. I think might have been beating up his kid or something. And it's instead of like being mad at me, he like recruited me onto
Yeah.
his team and paid for all my stuff. So yeah, from there I end up back in New York for a bit. Bouncing around over there, a bunch of violence and gang stuff. I end up back over
In New York.
Yeah, I end up
Were you
back.
involved in that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I was involved. It was just bad. Like, I think when you're young, I can understand how these kids. I start seeing it even around San Diego. They show us all this graffiti. I didn't do the graffiti stuff, but I could see how kids fall. Like, there's no male figure,
Sure.
you know.
They do it to fit in.
You do it to fit in, and if at least we're in places in New York where, like, if you weren't a part of one, like, you were like up for grabs,
Right.
to get messed with, right?
And you lived in what part of New York?
Queens.
Queens. Okay.
Yeah, I went to Arthur Ashe Elementary. PS 181. What's up, guys?
So you lived in New York, got involved in some different gang stuff.
Yeah,
And then
hustling around, doing all that. Then I come back to Cali to actually live with that Aunt Dina. I ended up back over here because
Okay.
if I stayed in New York, wasn't a fit. I was like super erratic and unstable over there. And part of me still felt like, Dina's my mom to me, right? Because I was
sure.
told that and kind of lied to about that. I come back and I'm basically just like treated like Harry Potter, dude. She has me like living in a cupboard type stuff. And it makes sense when I look at it now because it's like she had a loser kid named Nick who's youngest in my age who like was going to like secondary school, and he would get really babied and you pick on me, beat me up and type of stuff, and I was like over here crushing sports in school.
Mm-hmm.
And her guy Dave hated me too, but when I look at him, like the treatment I got was joke. I'm basically like some leftover shit. Imagine if like you're dating a girl and then she has a kid that's not even from an ex, is not even hers.
Right.
Like, how are you gonna feel about that kid?
Yeah. It's gonna not. It feels like it doesn't fit in. It's not right.
Right? You know what I mean?
And now it's kind of pushed onto you as your responsibility, and it's like, oh, I didn't sign up for this kind of thing.
Exactly. That was the type of energy. It's terrible living situation. I end up having again, just like friends I played sports with and knew. Clayton, Eric, Ace, Evan. So it's like Lopez family, who's still in my life today. I call, his mom, and dad, and I see them all the time. And then you have, Ace Morales, the Morales family, Martinez family, Gomez family. I basically just bounced around these households all through high school.
Of like different friends.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, all through high school, bounced around. Dina eventually just bounced on me, just threw all my stuff out and left.
Okay.
And then she told everyone that I did something to her.
Okay.
Obviously, because they're all gonna be like, "What happened?" Right?
She didn't want to be the villain.
Exactly. So she lied. She lied and just said I did something so terrible that anytime they asked her about it, she was just like, "It's so bad, I don't want to get into it."
Right. Just because she doesn't know how to maintain the same lie.
Yeah. In reality, she bounced, left all her stuff. So, back to being on your own. So I basically just spent most of my adolescence just trying to survive, but also feeling like a guest my whole life. You know the feeling of like when you're at like, if you're dating someone, you go over to like their family's house for like a holiday or something.
Yep.
It's like the uneasy feeling, And then and then even some of the families, when I started to feel comfortable, You feel like you're really blending in. Like they line up for like a family photo for like a holiday card, and then ask me to
And then
step out.
step out to the side. Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Yeah, it's like that shit hurt my feelings so much, dude. Like I'll never like. I mean, I say I'll never forget that, but who knows? My mind, my
Yeah,
mind in 10 years might just be protecting me from it.
sure. So that
So
was your childhood, bouncing from home to home, going through all this stuff, family issues. You had people take you in. Um, you finished high school, right?
yeah,
Finished high school, played sports. Did you go to college?
I did. I went to college in Louisiana.
Okay.
I only did a year out there, played some sports. Then I was on a scholarship, and it got pulled.
For academic or athletic?
Athletic.
Football?
Yep, it got
Okay.
pulled. Then
Why did it get pulled?
they were like, because I was getting like a stipend too, where like they like pay you.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
get like booked.
Like a
and-
grant or something?
You get like a grant type
Kind of like
thing.
ISFA?
Yeah,
something?
yeah, kind of like that. And so I go into the bank, and for me too, like turning 18 really was like, at least in my head was like, hey, everything that had happened to me, like, you're an adult now, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm in charge of myself.
A real adult.
Right? Like I gotta go figure this stuff out, you know.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt that it was a chance for new beginnings, and to really see, what I was made of. Like there's no excuse now. Like the world's up to you, right? And yeah, I ended up going to the bank, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I like didn't have credit. I didn't know anything about it. Had never applied for a credit card, anything like that." And I go to the bank. This sweet old lady I remember in Louisiana, pulls up my credit, and I'm like millions of dollars in debt. And
Millions.
yeah.
Really?
And this was I was just supposed to get
And you were
the
18 years old.
yeah, and it was stuff from like the 90s, dude, where I'm like 2 years old. Like the date of these things, I'm like 2 years old, and so my veins go on fire, dude, because I know right away it's like my biological dad who.
What was that feeling like when you're 18 years old, walking to the bank, and they pull up your credit? You look at your credit report. Most people are like, oh, I have like this charge off account or whatever. Like, no, you're millions of dollars in debt.
Dude, there was just like defunct, like repos and old home loans that weren't paid, and you name it, cell phone, like Sprint, like cell phone bills type thing. Dude,
How did this all accumulate?
it was over the years. My biological father, big Manny Hernandez Sr., was using my social
Oh,
to
okay.
apply for stuff. So he's committing all this fraud that, so it felt like, damn, like this guy's still, after all, like, not only did he not do good by me by abandoning me, but like, dang, this guy destroyed my.
He was setting you up for disaster.
Yeah, like setting me up, man. So like, yeah, my veins were on fire, dude. And then, yeah, so basically, I didn't have the money to pay for that next year, and I had to come back, and man, I was really down. That's for sure a really down point. Felt a lot of shame.
Would you
Yeah.
say you felt like defeated? Like you have this fresh new start. You're in college. You're a grown man now. You're an adult.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everything the trajectory you have for your life, the things you have planned, it's like almost like a sense of defeat, like, right?
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, I was, for sure. Yeah, I was so down. You're like, I was like, man, this guy's still affecting, like, still affecting my trajectory.
And this is what, I know we were talking a little earlier, this is what led slightly into one of the opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, it did. I actually, while I was
There's
out
like a
there.
debt wipeout situation, right?
Yeah. So
that is what kind of led into that, which we'll get into in a second.
yeah. They kind of connect a bit. So the leeway goes for me from like, the dots connect looking back. They always connect when you look back, right?
Right.
You're like,
Hindsight's 2020.
yeah, like you're like, oh, cool, it makes sense. Like, if that hadn't happened to me, like I would be a doctor. And no offense, but like those guys are just pawns for the medical system, right? Like,
Sure.
But I was good at math, good at science. I wanted to make money. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. So I get introduced to MLM, actually, a company called USANA. Shout out USANA, still around, publicly traded. I got super lucky that it wasn't like some super scammy thing. They were doing like nutraceutical stuff. So I come back, a girlfriend's mom that I was dating at the time introduced me to that. She actually just like enrolled me at first, without even saying anything. So I'm like trying to clean up my credit, hiring.
Everyone's doing things for you that you don't know about at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So like I kind of get, people call these things like a pyramid or pyramid scheme. I had never heard anything about it. Like when I got introduced to that, I just saw a way to make money with my friends.
Yeah.
Like it made sense. Like, oh, dude, yeah, you sign people up, you get customers. Like,
yeah,
that's
kind of like affiliate marketing.
Yeah, it made sense where you get paid from. Like, yeah, dude, you're signing up all these customers.
Yeah.
On supplements and shakes and whatnot, and you get a piece of those orders every time they go through.
Okay.
Right? So like that added up. So yeah, I get introduced to MLM. And then so trying to clean up the credit thing. This is I'll kind of fast
What
forward.
year are we in?
So I'm probably like
I'm
probably like 18 years old, because I went to college at 17.
Okay.
So I'm probably like 18 years old by the time I'm back in Cali. I go live with my buddy, the Lopez family, get taken in. Really don't know what my next move is. They think there's kind of this pressure to like go into the military. Right? It's like you don't know what you're gonna do. You didn't go to school. Like what's your plan and how are you gonna pay for it? And so that was all a mess. Joined network marketing, USANA. What that gave me is I eventually get a mentor there, named Jeremy Stansfield. Shout out Jeremy. He's still the top incrementer over there.
Okay.
So this company started in 1992. I think by like 1994, 1995, Jeremy became the number one earner. Once I met Jeremy, everything started really taking off.
Overall in life for you.
Yeah, but
Okay.
in between that gap, I was working for the court, the San Diego court, collecting, doing court collections. For,
Okay.
like tickets. I was working at 24 Hour Fitness. I was taking full-time units at Southwestern. I was a busy dude,
You're
right?
staying busy.
I was a busy guy. And so in between that, I started building like an affiliate marketing business. I started learning about entrepreneurship, getting mentorship, getting introduced to personal development. Like, if you, working harder on yourself than on your job, and
Yeah.
really cracking open books and studying and learning how to develop yourself. Right. And that really started to transform everything. 'Cause just if you go work hard at a job, like you can make a living, but if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. Right. So all those type of things and philosophies really grew, entering into a lot of therapy.
I like that saying that you just mentioned. That's good. If you work hard at your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune.
Yeah.
I like that because I think that most successful people I've talked to, and I'm sure you've probably gone through it as well, ups and downs, highs and lows, right? Lots of success and maybe having to start over a couple times. Working on yourself, what you develop in yourself, no one can ever take that away from you.
Yeah, right.
And if you do something once, you can probably do it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if today you lost this home, you lost the cars, you lost everything, you had to declare bankruptcy, you could probably build a business again because you know how to, right?
Yeah, you have the information. That's like most things are just the thing that separates people is discipline and information. That's it. Like those are the only things. Like, if you got to find someone who has what you want in life, right? And the thing too is the people that I followed then, I would never follow now, right? Because like all I wanted was like, a younger 20s dude was house and cars and bling. Sure. and very surface level stuff. And then once you get all that, you realize how unimportant it is, right? But you also can't be the brokey, like money's not important and you never had any. Like,
right.
People don't like, you have to go conquer those mountains to like move to the next level.
What's your opinion on the saying that I hear a lot of people say when, there's always this debate on money's not everything, but then you have people that say, well, money's not everything, but I'd rather cry in a Ferrari than a Honda, or I'd rather cry in a Lamborghini than a Honda. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, money's not everything, but it ranks right up there with oxygen.
Okay. You need oxygen to live and you need money to live.
You care about it to the extent that you don't have it.
Right. It's like oxygen. If you can't breathe, you want nothing more than that in that moment.
Yeah, you just want that hit of oxygen, right? So it's like, yeah, and even then, and then some of those other people will be like, I don't really need much. I don't need that. And it's like, if you don't need much, you don't have to become much.
Right.
Right. So like the philosophy has to flip of who do you want to become? Right. A lot of times we work at jobs and we do things and we think about what are we going to get out of it?
Sure.
Right. Versus who am I going to become? Like, who are these people? What do they have me reading? What do they have me listening to? What words do they have me saying? Am I talking like them? Like, your environment and what you become is a lot more important than what you're going to get.
Yeah, because there's a lot of jobs out there, or even just career paths or industries where there's a kind of a stigma with people in different spaces, right? Like if you think of like attorneys usually act a certain way. People on Wall Street have a certain way, right? They have like every industry has certain stereotypes, I think. And what industry or profession that you work in usually determines kind of who you become, right?
Yeah.
Like most people who work in the Peace Corps, they don't end up being jerks usually, right? Yeah. And most people who work in the military, they're usually not therapists, right? They're not very empathetic, right? So yeah, I think that's huge. And whatever path you decide to take does have a major role in what kind of person you become. For example, entrepreneurship. Most people who are entrepreneurs and business owners and are involved in that industry, they like helping people because at some point they were probably helped themselves. It sounds like you were. And I see a lot of people that you help now. I think that, they pay that forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Success is contagious, man. Like, it really is. Like, a lot of things could get passed on. So is, winning and being able to create that. Like, a lot of, like, most people, it matters where people are at. Like, if they're super young and impressionable and stuff, it's like you for sure want to find a voice of value. And find people, don't listen to people who don't have the results you want. And that could be anything, right? Like, It's not just money stuff. Like, if someone has the basketball skills you want, like, get around them, right? Sure. If someone has the body you want, get around them, right? Yeah. Hire those people or try and befriend them and start spending time, and you'll start, picking up their traits and habits.
Yeah. So along this path, so you move back to San Diego, you get involved in affiliate marketing, you meet a mentor, someone who's kind of starts finally giving you positive direction in life, positive coaching and guidance. How long were you involved in that space?
Yeah, I was involved in that space from like 17 to 26, so almost like 9 years.
Almost 9 years, okay.
Like 9-10 years maybe, almost a decade.
And during that space, what was your success like? What did you learn? What adversity did you have? What did you go through in that period of 9 years?
Yeah, I mean, man, there's just you learn a lot of like sales, personal development, coaching, and stamina, endurance, like mental fortitude.
Sure.
Desire, goal planning has really
stuff they don't teach you in school.
Right. Goal planning has really stayed with me. And the thing is too, is you make a lot of relationships, right? Like the type of sales it was is like you're sitting with people like in their kitchen, like, or in their living room, or talk to them, pitching them like this, right? So you're like
in a Starbucks coffee shop.
Yeah, you're in a coffee shop, dude, and you're like belly to belly, face to face, talking to someone. So those skills really do translate. They really do translate to everything. I think it's a great training ground. Like my daughter, I'm gonna for sure put, like, when she's like 14 or 15, I'm gonna put her in. Maybe USANA will probably still be around. I'll probably put her in there, have her do like 2 years, like have her go out there, do 2 years, right? You got to learn to like get out of your comfort zones and to really study, right? You're not gonna learn everything off of YouTube.
Yeah.
Although I love YouTube. Like I probably wouldn't have went to college at all if YouTube was around when I was in middle school. Like,
yeah, some things you got to learn in real life. You can't just read books and watch videos. And as much as I love all you guys watching this podcast, you can't just watch this podcast forever. You got to go out and learn stuff in real life.
Yeah. You got to go out. You got to go out there and do it, right? Like, Yeah, I already forgot. What was your question on that?
Yeah, no. So just
edit
your
that or keep it in, or just keep it in and me being like, bro, I lost my spot.
no, just
Don't even edit it out. Just show people that we're regular people, man. I don't know.
your
I'm not a on stage person all the time.
your experience through there, and then what was your transition into, the second part of your life and what you're doing now?
Yeah. So in affiliate marketing stuff, I did all right, and I kind of ended up becoming like I was probably doing 200 grand a year, which is a lot when you're
In
younger.
revenue or income?
Income. Like I was like taking home that type, maybe like 250. I was taking home that much.
So you're making a substantial
I
income.
was making pretty like way
For
more
for the general population, you're making a substantial income.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, I was pretty young, but also at that age, I wasn't that financially smart. You make 250, I was spending 275.
Right, and not
Right,
paying taxes.
I was in the club wilding out. Like,
Yeah.
I was saying, how many colors does this come in? I want them all. It's just stupid stuff. But you got to go through that pattern too, right? I did, yeah, I did all right. It's okay. Then I end up moving into like the credit space, funding space. Those end up,
After you transitioned out of there.
yeah.
Okay. And let's get into the good stuff now. You have a long resume. You've done, between all your businesses collectively, a little over $200 million in revenue. You've done crypto, funding space. You said some credit stuff. You now buy luxury real estate here in San Diego, averaging, I think you said about $5 million a month in purchases, Section A rentals. Let's get into a little bit of that. Tell me about your transition from the affiliate space to everything you're doing now.
Got it. That was a lot. Makes it sound like I'm doing so much.
The resume is long, bro.
All of that was not done. It's like it's done piece by piece, right? Like when I talk to people today, a lot of people they got too much going on at once. They go too wide.
Yeah.
So like everything you listed, I basically built one thing, scaled it, established it, and then moved into like the next vertical. So if you take, like the credit sweep stuff, being able to remove things off of credit reports.
Because you were millions of dollars in debt at 18 years old, because at 2 years old, your dad was putting stuff under your credit.
Right. So being able to remove all that stuff and clear it and not have to wait around for someone to come save me. That's my daughter, right? I thought, her little footsteps. So yeah, I mean, learning about your credit is really freeing in a way, like breaking out of the matrix a bit. Like there was such a learning curve there. And then funding kind of goes hand in hand with it too. So a lot of the things you listed were like natural progressions, right? It wasn't like you're doing credit and then I'm doing like a dog walking business on the side, right? So you did credit, funding, all those took off. They do really well. And you're just doing like 0% business funding. Learning about all that stuff is really eye-opening and gives you better odds in business. And then things really took off. It's like 2017. Start an architecture real estate development firm, GTC. And then I start launching like high ticket products offering the financing. So I think I think that's the formula. Like if I'm just talking to someone now, like someone brand new or you're young, my advice probably would be like get into like software as a service sales, like at employee level.
Sure.
Look at something that has a chance to go public, like pre-IPO. That way you have resources, right? You want to have some money coming in and you could do, 20, 30 grand a month and have a chance to make millions. So like if I had entry was young, that would be like on that point. And then on the second side, the formula you need an offer that's high ticket. I would say like 25,000 or more. And you like people love to buy.
Right.
Like our country's freaking $1 trillion in debt on the consumer side.
Sure.
Like people don't know how to most people don't know like how to properly use credit. Like credit was really a tool that's never meant to be on a consumer side. Is meant to be business. Like you spend $1, like if you have a banana cart and you need to go get inventory for more bananas, like every dollar you spent on your credit card for your thing, you were going to get $3 back.
Right.
Selling your inventory, right? So you're paying that off.
Here's a little bit of money to help you grow.
Right. That's how credit's supposed to be used, right? It wasn't supposed
to pay for this vacation for the next 12 months.
Right. So like that's, the odds are people listening to this, you got some credit card debt. Like just look at the numbers, just everywhere. So you want to be able to give them a high ticket offer and have them finance it.
Sure.
Right. So if they couldn't finance it, they had bad credit, boom, you have a client there. You're not leaving any money on the table.
Right.
So you're already in this discovery call with them, figuring out their situation, getting their goals, a lot of data. And then if they have the bad credit, but they really want to do it, you could drop them. You have like a drop down offer into credit, fix their credit. Now that you fixed their credit, trust is there.
Sure.
Right. So you're able to create this flywheel. Once you've given them that home run, you could basically lead them wherever you want from that point. Like you've already shown them you're the real deal. You're going to get them results. So they could go from credit, into funding. If they have good credit, they could just go into funding, get like 100, 200 grand on a new LLC. Then most people don't know what to do with that. So you sell them like a Section 8 turnkey property that your company is going to go set up, do a light remodel if you need to, locate the property, set up a property manager.
How many rentals do you have now?
I'm in the hundreds. I don't know my next amount. Like, yeah.
Between Section 8.
I got like 7 deals closing like right now.
Okay. Is it all San Diego? Or have you gone...
Section 8's not San Diego.
Okay.
You do not want to get caught with you don't want to be a slumlord in San Diego. All the slumlord stuff you save for red states, like landlord friendly states. Ohio, Tennessee, Arkansas, where you basically have a sheriff out there in like 4 days, right, changing the locks, right? In San Diego, I'm just bought a pad in La Jolla for 3.3 mil. And I'm going to turn that into like a luxury short-term rental.
How many luxury short-term rentals do you have?
In San Diego, it's only like the 4th one.
Okay.
But those are doing like 400 to 500,000 a year.
Right.
And so if you know how to play them, and if you plug it into like AirDNA, there's not a lot of people competing in that area. If you plug them into like AirDNA, they basically tell you you're going to get your ass handed to you. Yeah. Because the platforms that you would use to rate to give you the data, they don't give you any context. So they're just looking up like a zip code,
right,
beds, baths, and it was basically, I ran it on each of these properties, and each one it was like, you're going to lose whatever. You're going to lose like 200 grand a year if you do this deal. So the first one was the scariest one because you're basically creating your own comp, right? So yeah, all the Section 8 stuff is landlord friendly states. You're doing like CMHA in Cuyahoga County, Eden programs, government programs. I think that is a good, a lot of that has changed too. Like the advice I'm giving you guys, like I started that 5-6 years ago. I was buying these properties for like 10 grand, 20 grand. So a lot of these are pure shitholes.
And
no
you
offense.
have successful businesses though, generating probably millions of dollars. And that's when you went and bought real estate. You didn't get into real estate when you're making no money and trying to become a millionaire overnight.
Yeah, I mean, I got my first house like in the hood like 10 years ago. I would recommend, it's a different market now too. Like I hate giving like dated advice. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe you could still pull it off, but I got, my first house was in a super hood area. I was like 18, 19 years old. We were throwing bangers every night, just partying, going crazy, but it was a super hood place.
Yeah. So
I'd recommend like getting into at least as your own property, even if you got to like rent with like, I had like 4 or 5 roommates, my brother, our friends. Like,
and that was here in San Diego?
Yeah. If you could get into that situation, get into it.
And now your hood place is worth $1 million.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. Exactly. Like, we'll kind of, if we have time, we'll move into that, right? But so a lot of that you need like the e-commerce and turnkey offers, or even course stuff. I haven't done any course things, but I really need to. Like, you need something that's going to put like cash in your pocket. Now. Right. Because the real estate stuff, even the luxury short-term rental stuff, that is more cash in the pocket play.
It takes a lot to get there and start it though.
It does. Like this house, I had to put down $610,000.
Right.
Straight cash, right? So those are not full-blown, like, I don't know if I really recommend those. Or even like the arbitrage people selling you, like the guys making the money are the people selling the courses, right? Like if there was, it's like no money down real estate, like those books and stuff. It's like, bro, if there's no money down real estate, I wouldn't be on here talking about it. Like I'd be doing the deal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell my mom about it. I would just go like, that shit's not real. Or people say no money down, and then they're like, oh, you open the first page and they're like, well, you got to get someone to give you $1 million. Like, oh, there's, what I mean? Like,
you got to go raise some.
It's other people's money, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So my formula really has been, find a high ticket offer, even if you're not the one doing the fulfillment. Like, find someone that is moving and grooving. You really like what they're about. You like their message. Try and meet with them, network with them. Become a fan. Like, subscribe to their newsletter.
And get involved.
Get involved. Pay to play any way you can is worth it. Like right now, like that's my main thing. Like if I got to pay $100,000 to get into a room, $200,000 to get into a room, like dude, everyone else paid $200,000 to be there, right?
And you're gonna get 5, 6, 10x back.
Exactly. Especially you just like don't go in there thirsty. Just go in there trying like offer value and be a regular person. Yeah. Like just meet everyone, see what they're about. So yeah, you want a high ticket offer. You want to be able to finance them on that offer, make a little piece on each, get money in your pocket, and then lead that into like, so right now, like the big project that's pushing, that's going to run for the next, I hope 10 years, it might be like 5 to 7 is in San Diego, we have a real estate fund that we launched. And basically because there's a housing crisis here in San Diego, we're short 200,000 homes. That's why our properties are just skyrocketing, right? There's not enough places for people to live, right? So the state has now intervened, and basically all the properties that I've owned in San Diego, single family homes, they got rid of that zoning. So now you're able to go build like an apartment complex.
Right, you can transition
behind your house.
4 units, right? Up to 4 units.
No, you could go way higher. Some we've done like 80 units. It matters on the size of your lot.
Okay.
So if you had like a single family home in Claremont and you got this like acre lot, you could go put like 80 units.
Oh wow.
So, but think about the value there. So that changed. So that's created this gold rush, at least for us, to be able to help create more affordable housing. But it like, hence you got to start again, the next level, the next devil, right? Like you got to move on to the next thing to where, you need way more. You probably need like $500 million to put a dent in San Diego, right? I don't even know if you'd really make a dent at $500 million. Yeah. So on the architecture side, we're servicing, and the development, we're servicing $10 billion under management clients.
Okay.
So I do get to see the behind the scenes and know these guys who are, they're a little bit older. They're like in their 50s, 60s.
And see a little bit more of the politics going on.
Exactly. You gotta, these guys have been clients for 7, 8 years now. Gotten to know them, and I get to see where they're buying, right? So I kind of get inside metrics of where the money's moving, where the big money's moving. That's all just in San Diego.
I think that's a good example. You kind of touched on this, is provide value and you're going to get stuff in return. You're providing a value, a service to these people in the local community. And in return, you're getting valuable information that's helping you strategically make your own plays and your own moves in order to set yourself for success, seeing where these guys are buying real estate, where the opportunities are up and coming. Whereas, the average person who's not in the real estate business and shaking hands with these people, they have no idea, and they're just trying to find a good deal on Zillow or with their real estate agent that just got licensed.
Yeah. How to go from the orphanage to the mansion.
That's right. GTC, 25 employees, $6 million a year. You made a big crypto run back in the day. A lot of people did. You caught that.
Caught some rug pulls, guys. If you get the inside track and you're with the developer, is the only time you get in. When you got the Nancy Pelosi insider track, that's the only time you get involved. If
or
not,
just stable coins.
Or do you like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that's it, dude. You don't have to dive that deep in. Dude, 10% of your income in Bitcoin and ETH. If there is exciting new projects, you got to meet the developer, know the team, invest early, and then you got to be the one to rug pull everyone. That's my advice for crypto.
And then you took the money from your traditional businesses, got into real estate. I know you had Airbnb business at one point. You bought Section 8 rentals. You have hundreds of them now. Yeah,
in that story, in that journey, even before the offer, I did have, when I met you, like 2016 or 2015.
Yeah.
I had, before Airbnb courses were a thing, that's just so easy to do. I didn't even think like people need me to put this in a course.
Right.
So I miss that. I hate on people who do it because I'm sad I didn't come up with it. All right, it is what it is.
Sometimes common sense is.
But I had like 25 of them and growing. And then I sold a bunch of them in 20. I thought the market was oversold in 2018. So I thought we were going to crash then. We obviously didn't. It's fucking keep inflating. But if I wasn't that paranoid, because only the paranoid survive, I would have lost all my gains in COVID.
Right.
So there was no way to hold through it. If I had held on to that portfolio
You
and COVID
ultimately-
hit, I would have got wrecked. I would have lost
ultimately made
everything
the
I'd
right
done.
decision.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're working on the development stuff now. That's your 7 to 10 year play. To recap everything, you went from not knowing your mom. Well, you were lied to who your mom was, kind of abandoned from your family, abandoned from your dad in an apartment at 9 years old, pretty much had to raise yourself, got into self-development, dove into that, met the right people. Obviously, they left you, they put you in the right guidance. You've built several 7 and 8 figure businesses. You're doing well in life. Give the people right now watching who's going through a hard time. They're in the middle of adversity. They don't know what the next step's going to be. Whatever that's going to be. What is the single best piece of advice that you've been given?
Not even that by given. The first thing that popped in my mind and my heart was, you got to ask for God's help. So
okay, I like that.
Whatever you believe in, whatever God you believe in, you got to ask for God's help. You got to plug in. And it doesn't have to be, if there is a church close by or something you could plug into, it's more about just reading your Bible and your own relationship. You need God's help, right? That's step one.
I like that. And then last question for you. Who is someone that you know that has a really cool story that we should get on overcoming the odds?
Kylo.
All right.
Kylo, I know that guy's doing meals a month now. I've watched him. I've known him for like 10 years. I know his family immigrated, started with nothing, and he's doing extremely well now.
I think we're going to be out in Pennsylvania together at his wedding.
That's the time, dude. I would love to kind of, hopefully you could get him. Well, it's his wedding.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
He said he's going to come
I would love to be able to like kind of hang out.
He said he's going to come out here.
Yeah, that'd be great if him and his wife come for San Diego. So yeah, dude, I think Kylo would be a great one.
I'm trying to get him after his honeymoon to come here.
Yeah, Kylo would be great. Billie Jean, I know Billy. Billy's who he was talking about. Billy's local. Billy's like 10 minutes from here. Dude, Logan Shippey, that's my dog. He's doing
all right.
He's doing really well. I think Logan is.
I like Logan.
I think he's on track to end up. I think
he has a cool story.
I think not just this year, but like by next year, I think Logan's gonna get into the like 40 million a year. Like I think he's about to hit his. Calling it here, we have it on recording. Logan's about to hit that next. He's gonna go from like 300,000 a month to 3 million a month. I could feel it. That guy's running. He's running super hot.
Well, cool. I appreciate it. You have an awesome story of overcoming adversity, overcoming the odds, and dude, creating an awesome life, man. It's been exciting to watch you, and I'm excited to see everything that comes in the future. So I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.